ready?
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Oscar.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And etc.
Now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Geico, with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
Well, it's time for the holidays, and while you gather with family and friends for your Thanksgiving dinner, the Bears and Lions will be on the air. Tom and I will have the call from Detroit, 11:30 the kickoff, and we celebrate that and a special guest today in episode 115 of the Bears Etc. podcast. It's brought to you by Geico. We're breaking down the matchup, the Week 13 opener in the NFL, and before we do, please introduce the 11th pick in the 1989 NFL Draft out of Clemson, cornerback Donnell Woolford, number 78 of the Bears' top 100 list of greatest players. 8-year Bear, 530 tackles in his lifetime, 32 picks, which was a Bears cornerback record until Charles Tillman broke it in 2012. A heck of a career, and I didn't realize this until I noticed that it was you, and then Trace Armstrong was at number 12.
Right.
That's a good 1-2 punch, Donnell. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I remember that getting a call. I was in my hometown at a barbecue, and Aunt, she came out and she said the Bears on the phone, and she thinks she got drafted because she was so excited. So I went in and answered the phone. You know, they said, "Do you want to be a Bear?" And I said, "Yes, sir." So I become a Chicago Bear, and then Trace came behind me, and we got a chance to play together, and also with Tom, and it was a good run. Good run.
Hey, how many interceptions did Charles Tillman have? Do you know? Do any of us know?
I want to say, I think maybe 36.
36?
Yeah.
Do you remember any dropped interceptions when you go back in your Rolodex of opportunities that you said, man, I could have had this many, or I remember dropping this one?
Yes, but if I was be playing now, I'd have had double the amount of interceptions because they throw the ball more. Back then they ran. But yeah, it was a lot of passes. But playing in Soldier Field, Tom, like the ball's moving in the air, and then you got the wind, and you just never know. And sometimes you think you have it, but then the wind takes it, and then you drop it.
So you talk about the interceptions you made as a defensive back. They always say defensive backs are the guys that can't catch football, that are a good athlete at another position. But I read how you went to Clemson as a running back. And then they had so many running backs, they asked you, or you said, hey, I'll play defensive back. Is that truth to the story, or is there something behind the scenes? Or are you that talented of an athlete, Donnell, that you can say, all right, I'm going to play the most difficult position in professional sports next to quarterback and still go out there and play?
Well, at the time, right, I was being recruited by a running back. I was the best running back in the state of North Carolina, and Coach McCory recruited me. And I got there, and and I saw Terry Allen. I saw a whole host of running backs. So I'm like, well, I don't know if might be hard to get on the field. So I said, well, I looked at the defensive back line over there, and it was kind of short. So I said, well, Coach, I think I want to go over there and play defense. He said, you sure? Because you're a hell of a running back. So I said, all right. So next thing I know, I'm over there, and now I know why no one was in the line, because no one wanted to play the position, because it's like you said, it's the hardest position other than quarterback to play on the football field. But I adjusted to it, ended up beating out second year senior, fifth year senior, and the rest is history.
Well, the good news about that, Donnell, is you were already a contact person if you were a great running back. So and on the Bears you had a tackle. To be a corner, and that Bears bunch, you had a tackle. In fact, all great, tough defenses have to have corners who love to tackle, love to hit.
Absolutely.
So you had that part down. Well,
I did.
Yeah. So, now Jerry Azuma played college football as a running back, and he switched to the NFL as a corner and had to basically learn how to run backwards. Was that transition hard for you, flipping your hips and all that?
Yes, because I'm running forward with the ball in my hand, and I'm trying to juke people and score touchdowns. But then you go over there, now I'm going backwards, and I don't know where they're going. So I'm backpedaling, and my hips got to be right. Too slow, they run past you. So yeah, it took a little while to adjust to it, but I think I did okay.
Who was your first interception? You remember who you picked? I don't know the answer. I'll have to look it up. So
we may have to ask Google.
I will. While I do that, Tom, go right ahead.
Donnell, so when One thing I read about you too, which I have all kinds of respect for you, that you are a 3-time member of the All Madden team. And Donnell, of any team that I ever wanted to make throughout my career, I wanted to make the All Madden team. So how, does that resonate with you when you think about, the reputation of John Madden and then making the All Madden team 3 times?
Yes, because I grew up listening and watching John Madden on TV. When he was the Raiders and then analysts, and I just took a liking to him. He knew so much about the game, and he always gave me compliments. Making his team 3 times in a row, that's pretty good, and that's an honor.
Do you still have the sweatsuits? Because All Madden, they used to give him sweatsuits, because I see in Jay Hilgenberg's closet, he has a selection of them. But I was wondering, did you keep the All Madden team sweatsuits?
Also a leather jacket. So I still have the leather jackets, but I can't find my sweatsuits because, my brothers, they raid my closet. So
right.
I don't wear my stuff at half time.
So now you
but
think.
I do have a leather jacket.
So thinking about your transition from running back to defensive back. So they just had the ceremony for Devin Hester at Soldier Field and his induction into the Hall of Fame. If you look at a guy like Devin Hester and you have both of those skill sets in your background, is Devin, if you look at him, is he more of a DB, wide receiver, running back? What would you think about a guy with that type of career?
He was multi-talented, and that's unstoppable. So he could run, he could play defensive back, he could do it all. So it's hard to find guys like that.
All right, I did my research. Your first pick came against the Minnesota Vikings. Wade Wilson.
Okay.
Wow.
Wade Wilson in the same game that Lemuel Stinson went 29 yards with a pick 6.
Okay, yes. Lemonhead, yes. Good, Jeff.
I can't believe I remember that nickname, Lemonhead.
Lemonhead.
Oh yeah, I mean he used to do had a sponsor with the Lemonhead candies.
That's right. Walk around the locker room passing out Lemonhead.
Right.
Is that right?
Remember that, Tom? You remember that?
Yes, of course. Lemuel Stinson, he's kind of a guy that would walk into a locker room the first day of mini camp or OTAs or something. You say, wow, can this guy really make it into professional football? And then he's the type of guy that shows up every day. He's, tougher than he appears to be. And, he has a good career because of it. So that's one of the guys in your memory bank that you have a lot of respect for.
I do. And Lemonhead, yes, I do. My rookie year, he was in the league for a little bit, and he taught me a few things. A little guy with big heart.
Yes.
Have a new or gently used coat laying around? Head to your local Jewel Osco until February 10th and donate one of your new or gently used coats to the 36th annual Chicago Bears Coat Drive. Help keep Chicagoans warm this winter. Certainly, you're very familiar with one Tony Medlin, and that coat drive started a long time ago, even preceding him. But everybody loves Tony, and I'm sure when you are in Chicago and you're at Soldier Field or up at Hallissaw, you say hi to Tony. I
do. Tony's my guy. Actually, we're from the same hometown.
That's right. Is that Fayetteville?
Fayetteville, North Carolina. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And, we also, went to Southview, our rival school. Everybody, I went to Douglas Byrd, and we always picked Southview because everyone would beat them, and Tony would be on the sidelines, and Tony, and he's doing his thing, and yeah.
I think we're probably all in the same age group, right? Tony probably went to high school same time you did, probably.
Donnell is a young man. He's 58 years old.
My body feels 100 years old.
Well, you got a birthday coming up in January, so we'll speed that up a little bit. So did you know of Tony Medlin the first time you got drafted and you walked into the Bears locker room?
I did. He came over to me and we started talking. I mean, because he knew I was, that's where I'm from. He's from there as well. So we just chopped it up and we became good friends, and he was showing me the ropes and, do's and don'ts. And, in fact, I was playing with guys like you and guys that just won the Super Bowl. So, I had to have my stuff together. So they said, what do you got to get ready to play. You got some boys, you got some dogs you playing with, you got to get ready.
Tony's a wise man. The more I talk to him, the more you kind of learn a little bit about Tony Medlin and how much that he's been able to absorb over his years of service. And I think that the younger players in the locker room are super fortunate to have a guy like Tony to teach them some of the same lessons he probably taught you the day you came into the Bears.
Absolutely. He always, every time you saw Tony, he had something to say to try to help you with your career, and he never failed. Even if you didn't want to hear it, you know, you had to listen to Tony.
Hey, Donnell, what was it like? You know, my first assignment was covering 85 Bears training camp. So think about that. Right out of college, I was scared to death. These guys that was a really impressive group of people, obviously. One of the more unique teams in NFL history. But you come in after they won, but they already had, had this aura about them, right? A lot of great players, Hall of Famers, obviously, all over the place. What was that like for a young player, if you recall, how to walk into that environment? Because you can't be, well, as Tony always says, what's the
only
slogan?
Have 1 year to be young.
Yeah, 1 year to be young, Donnell.
Right.
But so with that group, they're expecting something out of everybody, right? What was it like for you? Do you remember?
I mean, he was my biggest fan because he knew what I was coming to, and also Walter had just retired, and he knew what I was going into as well, coming into. They just won the Super Bowl. And you go in the defensive huddle, you see Mike Singletary looking at you with the eyes, and you got Dent over there. You got Dave Duerson, Sean Gale, Mongo. When I saw him, I was like, oh, geez, who is this guy?
All right.
He was always a big fan. And William Perry, a Clemson guy. All those guys helped ease me. So when I did go out there on Sunday and play, that I can perform and not be nervous, because those guys had just won the Super Bowl, and I was told me, don't be scared, just go and play. We drafted you for a reason.
Donnell, first-round draft choices are uniquely challenged when they walk into a locker room. Whether you just won the Super Bowl or you're a team at the bottom of the rung trying to earn an opportunity to go in the playoffs. When you walked in the locker room for the first time, minicamp after the draft, how long before you felt like you belonged in that locker room and you started to make some headway either with your position coach or the other defensive backs you were playing with?
Well, we were in Germany playing the 49ers.
Yep.
You remember that game? Remember that?
Of course.
And Rathman came out. He caught the ball, and I butted up to him, and I body slammed him. After that, I got all the respect that I needed from the defense, because Tom Rathman, you got Joe Montana and Jim Price. So I came up and thudded him up, but he tried to push me a little bit, and he tried to dump me, and I ended up dumping him, and I was on top of him and body slammed him. So
that's the welcoming moment into the NFL.
I got the boys fired up, so I felt like I was at home then.
Yep.
Right.
That was your welcome to the NFL moment.
And they accepted me.
Yes, exactly. Here's something interesting, and we're going to dovetail this in with our sponsor. Geico brings your more football stat of the day. So just by happenstance, looked up both of you guys. You both played 126 regular season NFL games, you and Tom. Tom played 10 playoff games. You played 6. So kind of interesting, one in the trenches, one on the back end of defenses. Also, you played with Pittsburgh and you were with Carolina, but I don't know if you played in the regular season with Carolina. But so that's kind of interesting. 126 games of NFL experience.
And we still here.
You're still here.
I knew you were special when you walked in the locker room, Donnell.
You were my guy, though. You were my guy. I looked up to you. I just want you to know that. I can tell you that now. On the opposite side of the ball.
Yeah, weight room, right?
Yes. He work out. I see him all the time. And I said, God, this guy. And he's trying to get me to go to Hawaii and go surfing. So, yes, he's the man. He was one of my favorite offensive players. Him and Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh.
I tried to recruit you into coming over to Hawaii after the Pro Bowl.
You remember?
And it was an easy trip, and there's been several guys that have come over there and had a good time. But I think that you made the right decision in doing what you were doing in the off season to get prepared for the next season, because it was some difficult years that we were putting in back then.
That's right. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Did it mean a ton to you to be a Bear?
Yes, absolutely. It's an honor just put that uniform on. The city is awesome. Miss Caskey, the fans, Ditka. Very, very honored to play for that organization.
All right, Donnell, I got to tell you, what people do after their professional sports playing life is always sometimes a challenge. Sometimes young men, women, whatever the case may be, professional sports, post-college career, whatever, that not sure what they want to do. You can't ever replicate that adrenaline rush or that teamwork, that locker room experience with the fellas and having a professional lifestyle. But you've done a lot your post-playing career. But the most impressive thing to me is at the age of 52, you got your college degree. You finished it up.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, what motivated you to do that at about 6 years ago, right? You just finished it up. Yeah. What made you do that? And what was that experience like for you?
Well, the NFL had a program that former players could go back and finish their degree. I heard about it. I said, well, can I do it? Should I do it? I think I'm going to do it. So, I tell my kids that you should graduate college. If you start something, you should finish it. So I started it. So I wanted to finish it. No matter how long it takes you to do it, finish it. So if I'm teaching them that, then I have to do it myself. So I went back. Coach Sweeney gave me an opportunity to coach on the sideline, and I'm getting a national championship in 2016 against Alabama and a degree in the same year. So that was a good year.
That's pretty cool.
Were you a better student in your 50s than you were in your late teens?
Well, yeah, because I was more patient. Plus, too, my daughter's going to school there, too, because I got her into the school. So she helped me with my homework. So I got through with her.
I love that. No kidding.
I got her into school, so yes, but I was very nervous about doing it and didn't think I could do it, especially my first year, because I took 2 to finish. My 8 o'clock class, and I was with Bill Spires. He was our punter, and we came in the same program. And we were going to 8 o'clock class, and after that 8 o'clock class, we was walking back, and he said, "Donnell, what did we sign up for?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this." But we kind of encouraged each other, and then we got through it. And then his daughter was in school too, so we both it was good timing for all of us, because we relied on our families to help us our school.
Donnell, when I went to Notre Dame, I kind of avoided 8 a.m. classes. I started, like 9 o'clock or something like that. When you talk about taking an 8 a.m. class when you were a late teenager, when you first went to college, and then an 8 a.m. when you were a 50-plus-year-old, were you an 8 o'clock guy back when you were a younger kid, or was it an adult?
Well, I hit the snooze button as an older person, 52. I still hit the snooze button a lot. But when I was young, I was good. But when I was older, it was a little hard for me to get moving and get the blood flowing. So, but I made it through. By the help of the good Lord, I made it through.
You still work out a lot?
I try to. I swim. I do a lot of swimming.
Yeah.
It's less impact on your body.
Yeah, body feel pretty good, though?
Pretty good. I have my good days and bad days. The weather talk to me from time to time.
Right. Like us all, even us non-professional football players, yes. The weather talks to us, for sure.
But you're always in warm weather. So, you're not spending a lot of these days that now we start getting up and it's in the 20s or the teens in the morning. It's a lot harder to get your body started this time than it is for you.
Yes. It's warm. Weather's good. And I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. The weather's pretty much good. But Chicago, I only go back there, to the reunion and, maybe a couple autograph signings. And I like Chicago in the summertime, but in the wintertime, I kind of stay away from there.
I have a question for you about playing the game. So, because there's a lot of conversation this past week with the Bears playing the Minnesota Vikings and having 2 great receivers, Justin Jefferson and Addison. And, the question is the best cornerback on the team going to travel with the best receiver, or are they going to play right side, left side? When you were a player and you were coming up against, like you talk about the Germany game, even though it was preseason and some of the receivers they had, including Jerry Rice, were you a guy that liked to travel with the best of the best, or were you more confident on one side of the field and you have, all of the memories of playing on that side, balance, body, control, and all of that?
I was more on the left side, but when they had a Jerry Rice, Sterling Sharp, or Chris Carter, coach would come to me before the meeting, before we start the game plan, before we start practicing, and say, he Can you run with this guy? Can you follow him from left to right? I said, yes, anything to help the team. So I didn't have a problem with it, and I adjusted to it very well, and so it stuck with me. So when the best team's player was watching film of that person, I would watch him, and everywhere he went, I would follow him, and to the end, to the whistle blew at the end.
Donnell, that draft you came out of was a special one. Now, I know Thayer had a special draft. That 83 draft was all quarterback-driven and offensive linemen, the big boys. But Troy Aikman was number 1, Barry Sanders number 3, Derek Thomas, the late Derek Thomas, what a great player, number 4, and Deion Sanders number 5. That was the first 5 picks of the 1989 draft, and you get to play with all those Hall of Famers. Is it a cool nugget in your professional life that you got to face some of the best players ever put on an NFL uniform and play with some of those same guys?
Absolutely. You named Troy, Deion, Barry. We had him twice, and there's great players and they rightfully deserving to be in the Hall of Fame. But, I just love playing against them and being in that same draft because that's one of the all-time greatest drafts in the history of the game. You agree?
Yes, agreed.
After 83.
Well, after 83, yes, sir. I forgot he was on the call.
Yes. In the spirit of playing the Lions on Thanksgiving, what was it like to try and finish the tackle on Barry Sanders?
Well, Coach Dickey would say, everybody to the ball, all 11 people to the ball. That was a scouting report. When Barry gets the ball, everybody to the ball. And even when everybody was to the ball, at times, he still got away from us. But, it's Barry Sanders. We enjoyed playing him, especially on Thanksgiving when everybody's watching you, your family's watching you, you're eating turkey, they eating turkey. And we got them a couple times. I think they got us a couple times.
One of the first times I ever saw Barry Sanders was early in my career, and I just could not believe it was post game. So you see him in his shorts or whatever. His legs were like steel belted muscle that I've never seen before on a running back. I can understand why it was difficult to put that guy down. Plus his moves and the subtle moves that he made. I mean, he could twist and turn a defense into shreds.
Yes, sir. He did. He did a lot of it.
Yeah, he sure did.
And then, there was a lot more things that were legal tackling back then. When you had Barry Sanders, horse collar tackle was not a thing. You could hit guys low. It was not a thing. And throughout my career, there was probably maybe 4 guys that I would stand up on the sideline to watch. And as an offensive player, when Barry Sanders was on the field, when we played Detroit, I stood on the sidelines to watch, just like a lot of people used to say, hey, I stood up and watched Walter Payton when we played the Chicago Bears. And Barry Sanders was one of those guys that he not only captured the audience in the stands, but he also captured the audience on the sidelines.
Absolutely. That's how great of a player he was.
Yep.
I'll throw another one at you then. Did you ever face Earl Campbell?
No, sir.
No, okay.
He missed him.
He missed him. Okay.
I think about a few years, right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you missed him by a couple minutes.
And you know what? Your body thanks you. Your body, right. your body's grateful you didn't have to try and tackle that guy.
If I had to tackle that guy, I don't know if I'd be talking to you guys right now.
Yeah, or like today's game. Watching Derrick Henry, even at his advanced age in his career, just watching him last night. I mean, good luck, right? I mean, my goodness.
He was powerful, big, tall. I mean, yes. This guy.
Yeah. Okay, last one about football, and then we're going to talk about what you got coming up here in December. Who was the most difficult receiver that you faced year in and year out? It probably had to be somebody in the division, or somebody you just like, it might keep me up at night a little bit.
Sterling Sharp was pretty good.
Yeah.
He's very physical, very fast,
Built like a running back.
He's built like a running back, but he can run a 4.2. So if you had to come up to tackle him, you had to wrap him up because he'd break a lot of tackles. You probably saw a lot of film of him breaking tackles because the DBs come up and wrap him up, and he'll go 5-yard hitch and take it 75 yards for a touchdown. So I would say him.
From an offensive line perspective, Tom always explained how challenging practices were under Ditka. We're talking about training camp, but I would imagine in the regular season as well, just because of who you're facing and who's coaching you and the demands. Did you find practices harder than games?
Yes. So we had tackle drills in practice. We tackled. Sometimes we scrimmage.
Right. We had live training camp
We had
practices.
live training camp during the week. I'm like, Coach, I'm already sore from training camp. Come on, man.
Right. But, when we'd go up in Platteville, we were guaranteed that we were going to go 2 full padded practices every single day, and there was nothing getting us out of that. So, even the Germany trip, when we come back from Germany thinking that, all right, training camp signed, sealed, delivered, we go back to Platteville for another week or 2-a-days. So, it was never over until Ditka gave us the Platteville release.
Right. Sometimes we had 3-a-days, right? I think maybe 3 days. Go back in, take a shower, and come home.
Oh my gosh, that's called love of the game right there.
This is not cutting it. He's like, this is not cutting it.
That's called love of the game right there. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. And we're brought to you by PNC, the official bank of the Bears. So you have something special coming up December 17th here in Chicago from 5 to 9 p.m. The All-Star Toy Drive, hosted by Donnell Woolford at West Gunnison Street in Chicago at the Elegant Ridgemore Country Club. So this benefit, how did you get it tied into Grant a Wish, Inc.? It's a Chicago-based nonprofit organization.
Well, Princess Hemphill is my publicist, so we had a meeting with them, and then we decided to work together for this toy drive. We worked together last year, and it turned out pretty good, and then hopefully this year it's going to be even bigger. We want to raise a lot of money and toys for kids so they can be blessed for the holidays. And looking forward to it. And, a couple of guys come out. Jim Morrissey came out last year. Big Cat, Jerry Azuma. So Tom is going to come out this year. Jeff, you going to come?
Yeah, well, schedules are got to be yet to be determined.
It's on December 17th. It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday from 5 to 9 p.m., December 17th at West Gunnison Street in Chicago, Ridgemore Country Club. So the giving back part of it, for you, it has to, even at this point in your post-playing career, it means something to you. What motivated you to do this? And it sounds like you've done a lot of this philanthropic stuff in your career.
The way I was raised, I was brought up, you give back to the less fortunate. I mean, we're blessed. And then when you have to go back and try to bless other people, and it's just, especially during the holidays, there are a lot of kids that won't have anything under the tree. And to me, if I can do something to help that, I'm all for it, and then surround myself with the right people to make it happen. And I think that's what we're doing. We started this last year, and we're gonna build and continue to grow. And we want to fill the place with toys. Last year we did a good job, and this year we want to fill the whole house with toys, and then so we can bring joy to these kids for Christmas holiday and bless them.
That's why it's great that we have an opportunity to do this podcast with a lot of former Bears, because I think you get a new appreciation for guys like yourself, Donnell, that you meant a lot to Chicago. Chicago means a lot to you. And then you have these opportunities to have these give back type of, ceremony, or not ceremonies, but these events that you're able to take part in. And I know it means a lot to the communities that are able to get toys and something for the kids that should have it.
Yep. I mean, that's a big part of, the one thing about professional athletes, especially football players, more so than any other, throughout the course of a season, you guys are asked to do it as well. Guys give back. They do. They do a lot of community work. This Bears organization does a great job with that, with their players. Even the guys who don't even suit up, the rookies, the guys on the practice squad, they're out every week. Working in the community. And by the way, if anybody would like to attend, you can purchase tickets for the event at chicagotoydrive.eventbrite.com or just Google Donnell Woolford Toy Drive for more information. Each guest asked to bring a toy or a gift card and purchase a ticket for admission to the event. So we encourage everybody to get out there if they can on Tuesday, December 17th. All right, you're going to sit back and watch Bears-Lions on Thursday as you enjoy your Thanksgiving. What's your plan?
I'm excited. I'm excited, and I'm looking for a win.
Yes, we need one.
I think we can do it. It's in a hostile environment, but I think we can do it.
Do you get a chance to see many Bear games?
I watch, quite a few.
Yeah.
And I come up to the reunion every year, so
Yes, you do.
Stay connected and see everybody, see Tom, see everybody.
Yeah, Tom didn't show this
Watch it
year.
on TV, and then it break my heart a couple times. But I'm still loyal to the end.
That's right, man. The foundation of our NFL life is the Chicago Bears, and through thick and thin, you stick with them. And I'm excited what I see out of Caleb. And I think when you get the most difficult position in professional football outside of cornerback is quarterback, I think they're on the cusp of having a really special player.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. We appreciate your time, Donnell. Good luck with everything. Enjoy your holiday, and really appreciate the time.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jeff. Merry Christmas. I'm thinking about Christmas, but happy Thanksgiving, and God bless you.
God bless you too. Hey, everybody's got their lights up already in trees, so we're not wasting.
That's why I'm confused.
All right, Donnell. Thank you so much. Talk to you down the road.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
buddy.
Bye-bye.
Good news, Chicago United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears, and you too. I know you get a kick out of talking to old teammates, and that's somebody we do. I see him at the reunion every year, but haven't had a lengthy conversation like that with him for a very, very long time. So nice man. Love what he's doing, and I love the fact he still roots for the Bears.
Oh, no doubt. Donnell's a great guy, man. And that's, Jeff, I really can't sit here. If we went through the entire list of guys that I played with during the regular season or training camp and go, oh, I really didn't like this guy, or I didn't like his personality, or we rubbed each other the wrong way. You got to remember, back in that small facility that you spent a lot of time in, there was no escape. So everybody was on top of each other all the time. And so you couldn't run away from somebody. It was, you had to accept and absorb what their personality is, their background, where they come from, the conversations you had with them, what you learned about them and their family, their brothers and sisters and their backgrounds. So when I see a guy like Donnell Woolford, even though I met him in 1989, I have the same appreciation for him in 2024 than I did in the first day I met him. But I also knew here was a guy that was a first-round draft choice that was coming into a team that had a lot of stability inside that locker room. And so now you got to earn your stripes. And he talk about the tackle of Tom Rathman in Germany, and all of a sudden, boom, you're starting on that train of earning the respect of some of the veterans we had. And I really appreciate him as much today as I did back then.
And he was a heck of a punt returner in college, too. He averaged 15 yards on his punt returns, a couple of touchdowns. He was third in the nation his senior year. But, I just always remember him as putting his nose in there. A willing tackler, man. Excellent in car. And he ran a 4.40, 4.4.
A stat for you to look up. I think he said he had 32 interceptions, and he had over 300 yards in return on those interceptions. I wonder who, as an interceptor, had that many interceptions, who had the highest average of return. Is it a guy that we ultimately think of? Is it Dion? Is that
that's where I would go. I would go with Dion.
But,
yeah.
You know what? So he averaged a little over 10 yards per interception return. It would be interesting to see who. You don't have to do it now.
That was Donnell averaged over 10?
Well, I'm saying he had 32 interceptions. Yeah. He had over 300 yards in returns. Right. So if I don't have the Doug Coletti with me, but I'm just thinking of the math and who has the most return yards per interception.
All right, let's transition. Are the Bears going to pick Jared Goff and return something good?
I think they will. I've been a big believer in that this Bears pass rush will put pressure on Jared Goff. They will challenge his fundamentals. They will challenge his timing. They will challenge his footwork and his throwing platform and make him throw a ball awkwardly. And I think if they can do that in that type of environment, that's one way is how you take the crowd out of the game. Another way you take the crowd out of the game is keeping your offense on the field and having some success. But to me, I'm really putting a lot of pressure on the defense this week to give the Bears an extra 2 possessions per game and then see what the Bears offense can do with them.
That is a very powerful offense that they've got going right now. It's clicking on all cylinders. It is top 5 top 10 in 25 of 28 categories that I keep on offensive statistics, and it's even deeper than that. They're just doing everything right offensively. And Jared Goff is completing a high percentage of passes, and he has had one flare-up, 5-interception game against Jacksonville, but rebounded and has really protected the football. He can lean on that run game. It's all about the run game. That run game sets up everything, sets up all of his play-action stuff. That run game is significant, and that'll be the test. That'll be the test for the Bears defense.
It's like Donnell talked about playing Barry Sanders. You kind of know that going in. So as Mike Dickey used to say, all 11 to Barry Sanders in each and every play. So now it's making sure that the defensive front seven, that their concern is stopping the run, but make sure you're rushing the passer. And I do think that you have to have that element in your game, that ability in your game to rush the passer while you're stopping the run. And I think when you talk about that formula, that plan of attack, I know you don't have a lot of time to sit there and rep a plan like that, but you can take a lot of those moments and teach them during meetings.
I didn't factor this in. So listening to Caleb Williams at the podium on Wednesday, listening to Caleb Williams at the podium on Tuesday, I wasn't thinking about this, how this is such a unique thing for him, a short week. Let's listen to what he said about it, because before the question was even asked, he started out just like this.
This is interesting for me. This being my first Thursday game, and it being such a large game, divisional game versus one of the best, if not the best team, so far this season. And, like you said, routine-wise is different. Having to, get up and things like that on your Tuesday, which you normally are taking care of your body all day. Strictly, mainly mental work and things like that on Tuesday for myself. And I would say I had a few mess ups today with some of the the new plays and things like that, just because you don't have those kind of day and a half to go through all the small details that mean a lot, that I always talk about. So definitely something that after this week and after this game that I know we have another one this year, and I know that we'll have a bunch more in the years to come. So definitely want to make sure that when this happens next time, that I'm prepared for it. I know how to, and I know kind of what to expect. So there's a lot of newness for this week. There's a lot of information, but we're gonna tackle it. After around 3 today to tomorrow on the plane and things like that. To when I go to sleep is when I'll be studying and making sure that when we go out there, that we can go out there and perform, and I can go out there and perform.
What are you eliminating?
You gotta try and get to as many as you can, and then you also there's a little less me time in the short weeks with the hours that you have and things like that. There's a little less me time, so you gotta focus on your sleep, recovery. Most important things, and especially in a week like this, is sleep, hydration, and eating right and eating well to be able to recover after a tough game that we just had versus another divisional opponent, and now we got to go go up against these guys in a few days. And so like I said, those 3 things are the most important, and then having those three things and doing those 3 things well prepares you for this game and be able to go out there and perform.
You said the peaks and the valleys, because you a couple weeks ago you guys were in the valleys, and you played better. You guys haven't had wins to show for, but the offense has been much better the last 2 weeks. How have you managed that?
Yeah, same thing I said. I believe it was like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. You just keep going. That's kind of how I've kind of grown up. Kind of how I've I guess you can say trained myself. And those tough times happen. They don't last forever, so you just keep going. You don't lose confidence, belief, or trust. You keep going, you keep fighting, and that's kind of how I go. It's kind of how the team goes.
You mentioned last week, I think, that the Green Bay game wasn't really necessarily a confidence boost because you've been confident all along. Mm-hmm. But are there some ways that you have felt more prepared, more ready the last couple games, just maybe because of the things you've seen at this stage now?
I definitely think time on task has helped. Through all the games, practices, and all the way back to the summer and spring and things like that. I think time on task has been extremely important. You can't ever beat that. Being able to have time on task, and so I think that has provided a sense of clarity, a sense of belief and things like that. I think the confidence thing that you spoke about, I think it stays, like I said, in the valleys and in the peaks and things like that. You maintain and keep going. And then when you come out of those those valleys and you get those peaks, you obviously want to find ways to stay on that and plateau instead of having those valleys and peaks. But I think all of that has come from time on task and being able to just be decisive and have an open communication with all the players and coaches and things like that. And from there we've grown.
But is there anything about playing well against a good defense like the Vikings that helps you as you go against another really good defense in the Lions, as Thomas Brown mentioned, playing with no fear like that?
No, I wouldn't say that it helps you. That you can go against them and battle with them toe-to-toe, even when you're down, 10 points or more late in the game. You can battle with them, go toe-to-toe. But it's a totally different defense, totally different mindset of defense. Scheme, players, where they're special, the Vikings may not be, or where Vikings are special, they may not be on defense. And so it's a different challenge. And we, like I said, before we look at those and we want to walk straight into those challenges because they only make us better.
How does the connection that you've made with Thomas and the way that he's able to connect with you and communicate to you help you on a short week like this, especially when you've gone through this losing streak?
My planability and his coaching, I think so far is connected pretty well. I think he's done a great job kind of understanding me, even though we haven't had many talks in the past and things like that, many opportunities to do something like that. So I think he's done a good job understanding me and the players that we have on his team. And I think that's going to keep growing. I think I think us going into this week facing this challenge is going to be another testament to that.
It's the toughest test of the season so far because of the opponent and how hot they are. But on an interesting week, he's looking at it from, okay, I got to do things a little different and a little quicker this week. And it'll be a good prelude for what's coming later in the season and the rest of his career. But, college guys, they don't have a lot of short weeks, if any.
No, but I think it's an awesome experience for him because to me, after the first time I play in Thanksgiving or first time on a Thursday, I liked the experience. Physically, Dick was so demanding on us, Jeff, that we kind of looked at a Thursday game as a little bit of a reprieve. There were no pads up until Thursday, and then Thursday we had full equipment. We went and played the game. But we kind of refreshed ourselves by playing on Sunday, no pads, and then playing again on Thursday.
All right, I got to have you listen in to Thomas Brown now, everybody. The offensive coordinator, ready to call his third game with Caleb Williams. Another impressive conversation at the podium with the Chicago media today on Tuesday, and just really good, solid insight into how he's approached this unique situation, being thrown in there in the mix as an offensive coordinator, and where it's taken this offense here in the last 2 weeks.
So we often talk about competitive greatness in meetings, team meetings, offensive meetings, and competitive greatness is being at your best when your best is required. So I wanted to say how much I appreciate the response by the players, how much they battled. Talked about during the week before the game, no matter what happens, nobody flinched. Nobody flinched. They stayed aggressive, stayed in attack mode. I think it was 17 points in the fourth quarter, 11 points under 2 minutes with no timeouts, which not sure if you guys realize that or not. That's not normal. It doesn't happen all the time. I get we didn't win, though. That's the whole point, is to be able to have a shot to win games, put ourselves in the spot to go execute at a high level. And I'm more committed to presenting more opportunities for our guys, continue to find matchups, continue to be aggressive, and give them the shot to go win on game day.
What do you like about talking about you giving your guys more opportunities? More of those opportunities for DJ have come behind the line of scrimmage. What do you like about him in that situation as that quick outlet for Caleb?
Yeah, I think it's easy to get him involved in the game. I think regardless of what people kind of play coverage-wise, try to play against him to take away possible throws. If you hand it to him, give him a bubble behind the line of scrimmage, you got to tackle him in space. And that guy's pretty dynamic when you get the ball in his hands. So with his screens, quick game throws, obviously vertical down the field throws, any way you can get our guys in space, I'm all about.
Caleb Williams commended your aura after the game. Is that something like you've always been that way, or have you kind of learned to develop that aura as you've gone along your career?
I don't even know how to answer the aura question. I know it's a compliment, so Caleb, I appreciate it. I know my kids use it. My 2 older boys use it a lot. But, I just believe in being authentic, being myself. Definitely, I think everything about personalities, myself, anybody else, is developed over time. I think being in specific roles, being in front of groups, you learn to find your voice, learn to figure out what works for you, but also it's ultimately about the audience, right? How do you bring the best out of the people you're communicating with and talking to? And I've mentioned this before, like being a husband of 16 years has forced communication. So between me and my wife, Jessica, so I've grown with that because I was a huge introvert before growing up, so I didn't talk. Never really shy, I would just keep to myself. And then having 3 boys who are all different personalities made me a better coach because when I first got into coaching, I was probably 24 years old, and I was kind of a one-size-fits-all. You're going to get it how I give it to you, and if you don't like it, that's your problem, which is the wrong approach. And so I realized having 3 boys, and my oldest son, Orlando, is probably the most like my personality, the good and the bad. My middle son is most like my wife's personality. And then my youngest son, Judah, is all over the place. So it's about understanding, again, still being my authentic self, but also when I deliver a message, I'm never going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you the truth, but how I deliver it is based on what brings the best out of you.
What's been the process for you learning how to talk to Caleb, how to coach him in a way that is going to work for him?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a continuing work in progress. I think the first thing I did when I got the job last, 2 Tuesdays ago, is I called him and we sat down and had a one-on-one conversation so I could tell him what to expect from me and also what I expected from him. And we had a mutual understanding from the get-go. Obviously, my approach, my demeanor is different than some people, but it's always meant to bring out the best in him. And so we had to operate both with a little bit of blind trust, like I trust him, he trusts me, and then we figure out from there. But again, I think it's about being authentic, understanding what to say to him at the right time to either push his buttons or rein him back in sometimes, but also I text him after the game because he's a highly competitive player. Football is a very emotional game, and I like it that way, but also got to understand how to give yourself some grace, how to have some balance. And I think being hard on yourself is important to continue to have growth, but at the same time, we live in a world, he plays a spot where everybody's going to be hard on him. So you have to continue to punch yourself in the face. You have to give yourself some grace and move on to get better.
Does he respond better than to you just being more direct, or is there also some, cushion in what you're saying, some encouragement? How do you play it with him as far as how you communicate?
I'm a pretty direct person, so I think that can come off different ways to different people. But he's not soft, which I appreciate. Me and soft people sometimes don't always see eye to eye get along. But I think he likes being challenged, likes being coached. Definitely all about encouraging and uplifting our guys when it comes to doing things the right way. But I think it's about finding a balance about we've made some great improvements, some great strides, but being good is not to be confused with being good enough. So I can be better, he can be better, the entire group can be better. So I think it's about finding that balance and also what each individual player needs.
One of the things you emphasized last week was trying to get the group to be sort of aggressive and play without fear.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it through Caleb's lens last week and some of the throws he made into tight windows, how do you evaluate the way he played in that game?
Yeah, it was very obvious. He had no fear at all, which is, I think, the way we want to have him be able to play. I think about being aggressive and taking calculated risk. So aggressive is not being reckless. It's 2 different things. So not putting the ball in jeopardy, is doing a really good job taking care of the football. Obviously making some tight window throws, which is why you get drafted number 1 overall to make those big plays. And I think, again, when it comes to end of the game, end of the half, he's delivered in a big way, which I think sometimes goes unnoticed because of the result, which I get. But that's a rookie quarterback who, in my opinion, hasn't even scratched the surface of how good he can be. And it's my job, my focus to continue to try to find ways to make him the best he can be. hold him accountable, but also the entire group. So it's not just about him. It's not a one-man show. Myself as a coach or him as a quarterback, but it's about us all kind of working collectively together to get the best result on game day.
Now, so when you eye up this Detroit defense, Kirby Joseph specifically, what do you see in him in terms of his ability to impact the game?
Yeah, I mean, these guys are tough. They're violent. He, in some ways, is like a field general, plays different spots. They are in-your-face bunch of group. They kind of challenge you. They make it difficult because they are one of those teams that are they will present non-normal matches. So normally you get 2-11 personnel, you get nickel or maybe Bronco personnel, so you're keeping still 5 DBs on the grass. They'll play in base, which makes it harder to defend to run the ball against. So trying to find a balance of how you call a game while still being able to not let the defense dictate what you do, really for 2 weeks in a row versus 2 different opponents with different styles. But it's about being able to pick and choose our spots. But these guys are tough. But I'm excited about the opportunity. Our guys are ready for the opportunity as well, and so we'll keep battling and go swing our sword on game day.
Thomas, Keenan's numbers from the slot this past week were his best of the season. I know injury might have precluded some of those numbers kind of going down this year, but like, what do you like about the production you're getting from him there? I guess 2 parts, and then you're utilizing him other places. I know obviously you didn't have him all these other years, but what about the matchups do you think he's manipulating the best at this point in his career?
So it's funny, before I was presented with the opportunity to be the coordinator, during the week I would play scout team nickel, which plays in the slot. And I think I'm a pretty athletic dude, I'm still kind of cocky in some ways. And obviously I can't guard him, even though I've told him that to his face I can. But I think watching the guy, the one-on-one matchups, how he moves, the nuance of route running is obviously elite. It's been elite for a long time. But also being able to understand how we can move guys around, right? Use formation variations, using motions to do a couple things, right? To marry things for us offensively, to give us access, and also to give us coverage indicators. So using the illusion of complexity, formation variation, motion shifts to force communication from a defensive standpoint, but also hiding where certain guys are. But he's a big-time player, been that way for a long time.
Tom, out of all that, I think just his approach with Caleb and how he speaks to him and what he expects of him and what he's challenging him to do is to me, that's coaching. That's by definition coaching. He is doing a terrific job.
I love it, Jeff. I love the seriousness. I love his approach. I love the fact that he's letting Caleb know the way that you take responsibility for the position you play is your study habits, your work habits, and sometimes it includes criticism. And I really think that Caleb is a different type of player, not only physically but mentally, in as much as the last couple weeks. So for Thomas Brown, I got to tell you, Jeff, the more I hear of him, the more excited I get about his approach to coaching.
Let me ask you this. My impression when I finished listening to him, man, I felt a great deal of confidence in him.
Right.
Yeah, the confidence.
But that confidence is transferable. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, so I played for college, Dan Devine and Jerry Faust. And then I went to the USFL and I played for George Allen, who was kind of a humble guy, he was a quieter guy. Then I met Mike Ditka. And when I would listen to his speeches and his talk and stuff, he inspired me because he spoke with confidence. He spoke with experience. He spoke through examples that he went through in his football life, his career, and his coaching life. And it's kind of the same way I feel about listening to Thomas Brown. And maybe, am I blowing out of proportion? I don't know. But if I was sitting in the room as one of his offensive linemen, I'd be pretty fired up walking out of that room from him.
I could tell in your voice right now.
It is. And like I said, I'm not blowing it out of proportion. These are examples. I've played for 5 Hall of Fame coaches. I know what good coaching sounds like from the podium, and I know how it transfers confidence to the players.
Yeah, I've had more than a few come up to me to talk about Thomas Brown, so he's a dude. No question about it. Bears fans, Steinhoffel's a proud partner of the Chicago Bears. This Bears season, Steinhoffel's is partnering with Special Spaces Illinois to create dream bedrooms for children battling cancer. For every false start caused by the Bears defense during a home game, Steinhoffel's will donate $1,000 to Special Spaces Illinois. Shop in-store and online at steinhoffels.com. A couple of nuggets from Coach Washington on the pass rush and overall. attention to detail is paramount against this Detroit team. They got to shut down the run and earn the right to rush the passer, as you've indicated. And then the other nugget was Coach Hightower on that special teams performance, and in particular the onside kick. Said they worked on that twice a week since the season began, that particular kick, and it finally was used to their benefit and to their success.
Listen, there's a lot of plays in the offensive playbook that you can practice each and every week, and throughout the entirety of the season, you never run it. You can have plays on special teams that you can practice each and every week, and you're never required to run it. And that's the unique thing about an onside kick, and that's why it captures everybody's attention, and that's why you reposition the players. And it's a high majority of the time it doesn't work. But at the biggest moment, at the biggest time, that one worked. And it was a great kick by Cairo, no doubt about it. It was a great pursuit by the Bears personnel on kickoff coverage, and they got the ball back. It was super exciting, and I've seen it played 1,000 times throughout the course of the week, because so rarely does it work that when it does work, they show it.
All right, final thought on Detroit. What are we walking into?
We're walking into an extremely hostile environment that they've spent a couple of years now of building this. I think one thing that a guy like Brian Flores learned about the Chicago Bears and the offensive assets they have, that Caleb Williams is really maturing, and he's really has a great understanding of this offense and what they're capable of. So much so it changed that defensive coordinator from what he likes to do to what he didn't really do so much. I think it's the same thing that the Detroit Lions have to be suspicious about when the Bears come to town, because they know how to play in noise. They've already done it in some environments. But I think Caleb has gotten wiser about the line of scrimmage over the last couple weeks, and I think that he's going to understand the environment he's going into. He's played in big stadiums in college, and let it fly like he did in the last couple weeks, and take advantage of the weapons that he has on offense. And then the defense, give us that one extra series. Give us that one or two extra, series by getting takeaways and turnovers. And if that happens, there's a chance they walk out of that stadium with the early morning victory, which would make such a great Thanksgiving Day.
Yep, for everybody involved. It is going to be an interesting matchup, no question about it. Bears hung in there very well last year, should have won both games, to be honest, and they feel good going into Detroit despite a 5-game losing streak. And the Lions, they're putting a lot into this losing streak of their own, the only one they've got for a while. It's a 7-game losing streak on Thanksgiving. It's been brought up. It's been discussed. Dan Campbell says, yeah, we're more worried about just beating the Bears, but you know that's going to be a rally cry. I've read quotes from the players. They don't like it. They don't like the fact they've lost 7 in a row. On Thanksgiving, it's a meaningful game to that city. It's the first game of Thanksgiving. It's tradition. And here they've stubbed their toe 7 times. I think 3 times the Bears beat them in those 7 years. So,
well, I've never lost on Thanksgiving as a player, so I'm going to bring that mojo with me Thursday to the Detroit Stadium, and I hope that helps.
Oh, we appreciate it. And one last nugget here at Hallis Hall. They've got something really cool underway as fans continue to look for information and the history of the Bears. The Bears are launching a virtual tour of Bears history at Hallis Hall, and it's from the front lobby through the entire building, and it's all about the memorabilia and experiencing and learning the life of George Halas, along with the careers of all these great Hall of Fame players we allude to often on this podcast, 32 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, including the new ones, Devin Hester and Tom's good teammate, Steve McMichael, and good friend. See the Bears memorabilia and artifacts from the historical archives just as it's on display here at Hallis Hall. So log on to chicagobears.com and check it out. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, right here at home, driving access toward healthier communities through it all. We'll talk to you on the radio on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network for the 11:30 kickoff in Detroit. Hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving right through that broadcast. We'll try to have some fun as well and bring home a victory. Special thanks to Donnell Woolford, the former Chicago Bear, and for Tom, I'm Jeff. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down, everybody.